Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to TechGig webinar series, our endeavor to empower techies. We believe that sharing of knowledge is the key to enhance our skills and grow us as professionals. With this principle in mind, we have initiated a series of webinars conducted by industry experts to give you all a crisp insight of various domains. The topic of today's session is monetizing and marketing mobile apps. Our guest speaker today is Mr. Nikhil Ram Rakhiani, Systems Analyst at Pfizer India. Prior to joining Pfizer in India, Nikhil has worked as a software developer with the mobility unit at Pfizer New Zealand for 2 years. He has over 4 years of experience in the .NET framework and is also proficient in Java, jQuery, SQL Server, Adobe Creative Suite, and app development for Windows. During his professional career, he has worked on web applications, desktop applications, mobile applications, and mobile-optimized websites. He won the third position in Windows Phone Challenge NZ 2010 organized by Microsoft. So without further delay, I introduce you all to our guest speaker. Over to you, Nikhil.
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Nikhil Ram Rakhiani. I work as a systems analyst at Pfizer India, and I will be the speaker of this webinar session. This session will give you guys information on how to monetize and promote your mobile apps along with successful app examples. I'll move on to the agenda first. The first part of this presentation will give you information on monetizing your mobile apps. The second part of the presentation will give you information on how to promote your mobile apps, both free and other options available. Then we will take a look at a couple of successful app examples and some useful resources. A well-designed and useful app that entertains its audience can attract a customer base of thousands, if not millions. Mobile software development was really ramped up a few years ago with the introduction of app stores and marketplaces. Since then, we have seen massive successes like TapTap Revenge with well over $1 million a month in revenue. We have also seen reports claiming many developers making very little profits with their apps. When I talk to developers, they often struggle to understand what options they have for making money on their apps. So the main question is, how do I make money on my app? Apart from offering paid apps, there are a number of other ways to monetize your mobile applications. Obviously, each application is different, and you should experiment with different combinations of these and other monetization methods to determine which works best for you. As I mentioned before, the first half of this session points out the various different business models available for earning mobile revenue, such as making your app a paid app, adding in-app purchases by implementing advertisements within your app, etc. So before we take a look at various monetization options available to a developer to implement on their app, I would like to talk a bit about what monetization considerations an app developer must consider before starting the development of an app. First topic is user expectations. User expects a fair price on the app. There is a race to the bottom where even charging $1 for an app is almost too much to pay for some users, especially on the Android platform. Monetization and pricing should be done according to various category expectations. For example, simple games should be free and in-app purchases should be added to that. Or if it's a news app, you can add advertising to your app and sell the app for free. The second topic is costs. One purchase of your app will bring a customer for life, which could mean lifetime value of a customer would be 70% of the revenue. This is because 30% cost is charged by the App Store owners such as Apple or Google. Other costs that a developer might encounter while developing an app are providing support, infrastructure such as hosting and bandwidth, APIs, and also partners. A developer should also consider the market, his target audience that he wants to sell his app to. He must first consider how many people there are in his target market, how many of those will have smartphones, and how many of those will purchase your app. Next, we'll move on to the various ways that are available to monetize your apps. These include paid apps, freemium model, in-app advertising, in-app purchases, affiliated web apps, and subscriptions. So first we will take a look at paid apps. This is the classic and proven monetization method, well known both by the users and publishers. Some apps priced below $1 have had a staggering success. The model is very straightforward. The revenue is proportional to the downloads. 70% of the revenue generated goes to the developer and 30% is kept by the platform owner such as Apple, Google, or Microsoft. Pricing can be different from one OS to another, such as certain apps are priced at $1 on the Apple platform, but they are charged about $3 on Microsoft Windows platform. Some users may be reluctant to buy apps, mainly on Android, if these are paid apps. Because on Android you can find plenty of free apps that have in-app advertising implemented in them. With paid apps, you are less likely to reach a lot of users because of this. Some examples of paid apps are Angry Birds, WhatsApp Messenger, etc. The next business model that we will look at is the freemium model. This very fashionable business model trades digital content for real money. It is based on Apple's in-app purchase or Google's in-app billing, which can be implemented in both paid or free apps. Thus, developers can tune their business model at best. According to a study by Distimo, the freemium model is also the most effective model that is available on Android. Quality apps will increase loyalty, which will in turn increase profit. In-app content that is offered by the app must be worth its price. Purchase process needs to be simple and fast, which means that as few clicks as possible should be there. 70% goes to the developer and 30% is kept by the platform owner for each transaction made during an in-app purchase. If the app is offered for free with in-app options available, the experience within this free app should be limited, but it should not be damaged. Otherwise, the user may end up being frustrated. The next business model we'll take a look at is in-app advertising. Often in the form of a banner or an interstitial, ads are used by developers who want to spread their app as largely as possible, but still get some income. Mobile advertising companies mostly pay by the click, so you need a lot of downloads to make any sizable money. If you implement this model, it's hard to estimate the income that you're going to generate from ads. But on average, a user who downloads a free app with in-app advertising will give you $4 during the lifetime of the app, on an average. Ads must not alter the user experience. There should not be slowness or misclicks because of these advertisements in your app. Ads integration should be part of the development process. And finally, ads must be well targeted towards the user, which will help the developers get as many clicks as possible. The next model that we will look at is in-app purchases. In-app purchases lets you sell a variety of items directly within your free or paid app, including premium content, virtual goods, and subscriptions. This model is very famous in games. Just like apps, you sell this on the App Store and you receive 70% of the purchase price. The developer or the owner of the app should expect a low conversion rate, which is between 1 to 5%. By conversion rate, I mean that if 100 people download your app, 1 to 5 of them will make an in-app purchase. The next business model we'll look at is affiliated web apps. These sort of apps don't make any money on the app and are sold for free. Profit or revenue is generated using the service or the content that is offered by the owner. This sort of model, as I mentioned before, is good for content or service-based apps. Money is made on the service or content offered by the owner and not by the app. A good example of this is Evernote. This way, Evernote was able to reach more customers on the mobile platform as well as the web platform. The downside of this business model is that it requires double work because you would be creating a web app plus a mobile app. Next, we'll take a look at subscriptions. In the simplest of terms, a subscription-based mobile app allows its users to use the app after the payment of a monthly subscription fee. It's not necessary that it should have a monthly subscription fee. It could be quarterly, annually, fortnightly, etc. It's up to the developer. Mostly news-related websites, online magazines and comics, and some of the types of subscription-based mobile apps. Moreover, currently in the online market, there are some gaming apps that are available on subscription basis. Certain games launched by the Big Fish Games fall in this category. Again, conversion rate is low on this business model. So after discussing all the available monetization ways, I would like to talk a bit about the do's and the don'ts in this respective field. Some of the do's are the following. Business models should be considered first, and then developers should create or integrate technology that will enable the business model to be successful. Monetization strategy should be chosen based on the app that is being developed. For example, simple games should be free with in-app purchases. Complex games can be paid with in-app purchases. News apps can be free with advertising. Content apps can be free with subscription. Niche apps can be paid with a higher price with good service. This brings us to some of the don'ts. Not all apps need to make money and shouldn't be charged for. For example, banking and marketing apps. Business models should be considered first, and then developers should create, Business models should be considered first, and then developers should create or integrate technology that will enable the business model to be successful. After this, I would like to move on to the second half of the presentation, which is marketing or promoting your mobile apps. The second half of this presentation deals with promoting your mobile apps. With millions of apps in the major app stores such as iTunes App Store, Google Play, etc., getting visibility for your app is not easy. With thousands upon thousands of apps hitting iTunes and Google Play every month, the process in which to discover these applications has failed to keep pace with the exponential amount of applications to choose from. This session will detail various integrated mobile campaigns when wanting to generate awareness of your mobile application. First, we'll take a look at some of the ways to advertise your app for free. The first method is using Twitter. Not only is Twitter free, but it also can give you a direct connection to the people in your targeted industry who matter. So you can make a Twitter account for your app, find the movers and shakers in your industry, and try to get a connection. Second method is making a video. Videos are the absolutely perfect way to show people how cool your app is. For example, Angry Birds doesn't even look that fun in photos shown by the app stores, but millions of people find it a blast to play. This is because Angry Birds owner Rovio had published a video on their website, on the app, on the game. The video for your app doesn't need to be anything overly fancy. Just set up your digital camera and record yourself using the app. Talk your way through the screens and make it clear why your app is worth downloading. Once you have done that, be sure to put it on YouTube, Vimeo, and any others that you can find. The third method I would like to talk about, and it's quite important, is creating a website or a blog for your app. Blogger, Tumblr, and Posterous all give you a place to host a free website, and you'll be able to supply this link to everyone if they want more info about your app. You can also put website URL in the App Store description, in the signature of your emails, etc. You can put social buttons like stumble upon, dig, Facebook share, and retweet all on your website so that people can tell their friends and community about your app and spread awareness about your app. And in case you haven't realized this yet, your website is the perfect place to embed the video you would make. The next method I would like to talk about is promo codes and giveaways. For iPhone app owners, you will be able to download up to 50 app promo codes from Apple with each update that is accepted by the iTunes Store. Next, I would like to talk about mobile app review websites. There are various websites available on the internet which specifically search for certain apps and review them. And those reviews can be viewed by any user. So you can look at those websites and talk to the moderators and ask them to review your app. Another method is guest posts. Sometimes this can be quite expensive. You can ask a guest, or you can ask a website to write a review on your apps. This is different from the mobile app review websites because these posts or these websites are not specific to mobile, but they do target a very vast audience. Next, I would like to talk about friends on Facebook. So you, a developer, can create an app account on Facebook and advertise it and have his friends advertise it for him on Facebook. This will help getting the app reach the masses and will generate awareness about your app. You can also start a Kickstarter campaign. Even if you don't need the money for your app, Kickstarter is a great way to advertise your app. A lot of users check out Kickstarter website every day for various cool projects. You can also go to various meetups in your local area and talk about your app over there. This will help you generate more awareness about your apps among people in the same industry. Next, I would like to talk a bit about some of the other advertising and promotion options available. The most important one is TV advertising. One route to take when promoting your app is TV advertising. Many large companies take this approach. For example, Amazon created a commercial specifically for their Amazon mobile shopping app, which lets customers scan barcodes and take pictures of products to find them on Amazon store. ESPN took a similar approach as well for their Watch ESPN app. According to research from Nielsen, 40% of smartphone and tablet users use their devices while watching TV on a daily basis. A TV advertisement aimed at promoting an app targets the user at an optimum moment. But obviously, this approach can get very pricey and is normally used by brands who already do television advertising or who can budget for a commercial. If your company isn't as large as Amazon or ESPN, there are still plenty of effective ways to get your name out there. Co-promotional partnerships. You can take a hint from Shazam. They have created a mutually beneficial partnership with Bravo to promote a second screen experience for viewers of Bravo. They can use Shazam app while watching a number of Bravo shows and get access to exclusive content. Developers out there can figure out what kind of partnership would work with their app and can look into all the options available. Next, I would like to talk a bit about some successful apps that have followed the right monetization and promotion strategy and have been very successful. First example is an app called Ocarina. The developers of that app are G. Wang and Jeff Smith. The app helped them generate $1 million in the first year of its publishing. The idea was that they were excited by the microphone input and speaker output. Their app allowed users to be expressive, musically or otherwise. Their marketing approach was that they created videos of users trying out the product, and those videos went viral on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So they used social media to advertise and market their apps in the right way. The next example I would like to give you is an app called iSteam, whose developer is Kostas Eleftheriou. This app helped him generate over $100,000 in the first 3 months of its publishing. The idea was quite similar. He took advantage of a not-so-exploited feature of iPhone, which involves blowing into the microphone and then something happens on the iPhone's screen. He later on upgraded the app and combined it will tilt, control, photo library, and email. Excuse me. The way he marketed the app was that he made the app free for a week. He also promoted this app through YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, blogs, and news sites. During the period when this app was free, it got really famous because users wanted to try it out. So these are some of the successful app examples I wanted to talk about by individual developers. This brings us to our last section, which is final thoughts about the presentation. There is still a big problem when it comes to discoverability on the app stores, whether it's Apple's App Store, Google Play, or Microsoft's Windows Store. The app promotion industry is back on its feet and is now much more diversified, with different networks and agencies approaching the problem with different solutions. It could also be argued that the industry is more healthy given the fact that incentivized downloads generally produce low-value users. It's not perfect right now, but with the right combination of traditional promotion techniques and more specialized solutions, any budding app developer should be able to get his or her app noticed, given he has followed the right advertising approach. What happens after that is down to how good the app is, how unique the app is. Does it solve the purpose that it says it will? To conclude, I would like to say that every brand has a different marketing budget and will have a different strategy for promoting their app. The important thing is to figure out which strategy works best for your app and promote it in the most effective way possible. This will generate buzz and get people to download your app, which will eventually, with the right tools, lead to valuable and loyal customers. As you can see on the screen, there are some useful resources which will give you information and in-depth detail on various monetization strategies available. These websites will also give you some promotional techniques and will provide you some do's and don'ts, which will help you generate awareness about your apps and make them reach to the masses, locally and globally. So I would like to thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are you able to see the questions? I've already assigned you the questions.
Yes. Hi. So we have a question from Abhishek Kumar, which is, which platform would I prefer between Android and Windows 8? So Abhishek, this is a very interesting question. See, Android right now has a very large user base. Almost 70% of the smartphones, I believe, are Android based. About 28% are, or not 28%, I'm sorry, about 18 or 21% are iPhones. About 2 or 3% is Windows phones, and the rest are others. So if you would look at the user base, I believe you can target the Android platform first. But since Windows 8 is gaining traction among users very quickly, and they have already had over 100 million, sorry, they have already have over 100 million copies sold. So, so your app targeting a Windows 8 platform won't be a bad idea as well. The decision would be whether to charge for your app or make it free. So my advice would be that if you are selling it on Android platform, because Android already has various apps, you can sell it for free. And if you're selling it on a Windows 8 platform, because there aren't many apps right now, there are about 100,000 apps in the Windows 8 platform, I believe you can charge your app on that platform. Hope that answers your question. Okay, the next question is asked by Mahesh Salunke. I'm sorry. The next question is asked by Mahesh Salunke. He says, how can we purchase an SDK for development of these apps? Okay, so Mahesh, I believe SDKs for all the three major platforms, Android, Apple, and Microsoft Windows, are free of cost. So your development wouldn't cost you anything. But if you want to purchase, or if you want to purchase a developer license from these platform owners, you might have to pay some amount of money. For example, if it's Apple, you would have to pay $99 annually, etc. Hope that answers your question. Okay, so this question is very interesting. It is asked by Arokya Sani. He says all the strategies mentioned are good for iOS and Android, but how about BlackBerry and Windows platform? Okay, so Arokya, I think both BlackBerry and Windows are in the stage of whether chicken came first or an egg. Because what these platforms, what these companies want to do is that they want to generate a user base. But the user base would only increase if these platforms have apps. And developers will only make apps if they can target a large user base. So for BlackBerry and Windows platform, what I would suggest is that this is actually a very good moment, very good time to enter into these two platforms. The reason is that these two platforms right now don't have many apps in their platform, and the user base for these platforms is only growing. As I mentioned before, Windows 8 has recently sold over 100 million copies, and developers are now starting to get interested in that platform, as now it already has over 100,000 apps. Okay. The next question I would like to answer has been asked by Sumit Sharma. He says, is it mandatory to register your app with some brand like Google Play, iTunes Store, etc.? So Sumit, for if you are publishing an app on the Apple's store, on the Apple's App Store, I believe it is necessary to register your app with them. That's the only way your app will be advertised or placed in their App Store. And if you are targeting Google Play, you can individually distribute the APK files, which are your app files, or you can also distribute that on the Google Play Store by registering it over there. Okay, so we have a question from Fatima Kiwala. She says, how can we make money through content service-based apps? Okay, so I'll give you a very good example, Fatima. Microsoft Office. Microsoft has recently launched their latest version of Office, and what they do is that they charge either a one-time fee or a monthly subscription fee to use the Office. Now they have created Office they provide Office on iOS platform, on Windows platform, and maybe soon on the Android platform as well. So what they do is that they charge for this service, they charge for the Office service, but they don't charge for the app, the client that they have provided on these platforms. Another example is Evernote. There are some educational apps available on the marketplace as well, which take a monthly subscription fee and provide a content or service using their apps. Okay, so the next question that I would like to answer is asked by Kaveri Malhotra. I'm sure many of you would be interested to know the answer to this. The question is, how do we monetize specifically for Indian market? Will it be same because in US, people are more willing to buy in-app purchases? Okay, so I will give you my opinion on this. What I think is that in the Indian market, as our Indian market has a lot of Android users. And as I mentioned before, plenty of apps are free with in-app advertising in the Android Google Play Store. So what I would suggest is that you should create two versions of your app, whether you are doing that on iOS, Android, or Windows. You can make one version of your app free with in-apps advertising, and the other version of your app can be a paid version without any advertisements. So all the hardcore users of your app can download the paid version, and the casual users of your app who are not distracted by these advertisements can continue using your free app. This way you will generate money both from your free app using advertising, and you will also generate money using your paid app. You should also make sure that the advertisements that you use on your app are well targeted for Indian audience. Okay, so the next question has been asked by Meenakshi Balsagar. She says, how relevant is the demand for cross-platform technology apps, develop once, deploy on multiple platforms concept? Okay, so this is a very interesting question, Meenakshi. I myself have worked. I myself have worked on various projects, and these projects included creating cross-platform apps. For example, we used phone gap technology where you develop once and it can be built and run on all three major mobile platforms. So what happens is that if this approach is implemented, there are certain trade-offs, such as the performance of your app is not as great as it would be when coded natively. Also, the development time and bugs and compatibility issues do happen every now and then. So it's like a trade-off that you have to make. Either you can use native approach for all three different platforms, which will make you have three different code bases and increase the problem of maintaining your code, or you can have one piece of code that you can run on various multiple platforms. But the time and the effort taken to write that code is higher than it's taken to write native code, and it's harder to maintain that as well. So it's just trade-offs between those. Okay, so the next question that I would like to answer is Mahesh Kumar's. He says, how the pricing for an app is done. So Mahesh, like I mentioned in um, one of these slides, is that you must carefully choose what your app is going to offer and how does that relate to what the user is expecting and how much the user would be willing to pay for it. So you can take a look at various examples available already on the App Store or Google Play. What you can do is you can also take a look at some of your competitors for the app and how much are they charging and what sort of service are they providing. Then you can take a look at what additional functionality is your app going to offer and how much will a user is going to pay for that. Another question is asked by Suhail Sulat. He says, how much money would one make by advertising within apps? So there's no certain amount that can be given like this, but it's hard to estimate the amount of revenue that can be generated by in-apps advertising. But a recent study from Distimo, it says that on an average, a user of your app will help you get $4 in profit throughout the lifetime of the app, on an average. Okay, so there's another question asked by Nitin Mahajan. Initially, we will keep apps free of cost, but later, how to decide the cost of apps so that it should attract many users? So, Nitin, I mentioned this in my last answer only, that you must take a look at what are your competitors charging for it and what special or unique features is offered by your app, and that should give you an idea of roughly how much your app is worth to the user. Okay, so we have a question from Prashant Watsa. Um, he says, how can we make hybrid apps? So Prashant, can you please give me a bit more detail on the question, and I would be happy to answer that for you. Next question is from Hiran Santani. How to make your app featured on app stores such as Google Play? So here, there are various ways in which your apps can be featured. Sometimes these companies run promotions where they themselves review your app, and if they like it, then they will make it featured. Another way is that your app gets famous. It does something really unique, and it has never been done before, and users just love it. So that will also get your app featured on the app stores. If you are targeting the Microsoft's Windows platform, Microsoft often runs various promotions and developer competitions where the first prize is usually getting your app featured on the marketplace. So that's another easy way to get your app featured. Okay. We have a question from Vishwajit Girdhari. He says, can I make my walkthrough, can I make my slides, can I show my slides once again, or am I going to make the PowerPoint available for downloading? So Vishwajit, I would be making my presentation available for download, and I would be providing a link for that. So we have a question from Sudhir Kumar. He asks, how can we decide the cost of our developed app? So Sudhir, I have mentioned this before as well. You can take a look at what your app is offering and how much would a user expect to pay for it, what's unique about your app, and what are your competitors charging for it. And you can also think about how big the user base would be for your app, and what are your costs for your what are the costs that are going to be for your app, and accordingly you can price your app. So Bharat Panchal has asked the question, which apps are selling more on the Android platform in the education category? The three options he has given me are quiz, study notes, and video. So Bharat, what I would like to suggest you to do is you can just quickly maybe go through the Google Play Store and you can take a look at the top grossing apps in the education section. That will give you a very good idea of what sort of apps are users willing to pay for on the Android platform. So the next question is from Srijit. He asks, how about app promotion agencies? So Srijit, yes, there are several app promotion agencies available. And yeah, it's definitely a very good viable option. If you think it's going to get your app to even more users, you can definitely go for it. There are several promotion agencies available, and you can check them out online easily. Okay, so Puneet Verma has asked a question about what are the technical considerations like hosting, integration requirements, etc. when considering mobile apps. Okay, so Puneet, it depends on what sort of service is your app going to offer. Is it going to offer local content only, or is it going to download stuff from the internet? So all these things depend on that. So your various cost considerations would be, like you have mentioned, hosting. It would be integration requirements. It would be testing. It would also be testing against sample or mock data. It would involve user interface design. It would also involve consideration about which platform you are going to publish your app on first. What are the development costs of it? How many dev hours are required for this, and so on and so forth. Okay, so the next question is from Bharat Panchal. He asks, is it recommended to make an app of MP4 files of more than 100 megabytes? So, Bharat, if this content is going to be offered locally, then I think you won't be able to have more than 10 MP4 files in your app. So if that's the purpose of your app, I mean, if your app will use 10 or less or lower amount of MP4 files with 100 megabytes size, then you can go for it, because maximum limit of app, I believe, is 1 gigabyte. But it's been a while since I've checked that. But yeah, I mean, if your app is an audiobook app, then you might have files, audio or video book app, then your app might have files more than 100 megabytes. So you have to plan it accordingly, whether you can, maybe you can upload this file on a server, or yeah. Okay, so Nitin asks, do we need to, Nitin Mahajan has asked, do we need to register the name of the apps anywhere? So Nitin, you don't need to, but if you want to reserve the name of your app, I I know about the Microsoft Windows platform. They let a developer reserve the name of the app for 1 year, and after that, and the developer should publish this app within that 1 year. Uh, I have, I don't have much information on this, whether whether you can reserve the name of your apps on Google Play or Apple stores. When you are publishing the app on any of these stores, you do need to provide the name of the app, and it needs to be unique. You cannot have the same name as any other app for various reasons. Are there any other questions? Okay, there's quite a few questions. Okay, so Srijit asks, how about the SEO? Okay, so Srijit, if you remember, one of the points I mentioned before was making a video on your app. So that will be improve the SEO of your app, because you would be allowed to add tags to that video, and whenever a user searches, and if that search matches the tags, it's very likely that your video will end up as the result as the search result. So so making a video on your app is a great way to improve or increase the search engine, to increase the visibility of your app on the internet. Okay, so the next question is from Mohammed Youssef. He asks, Nikhil, is it true that Apple favors US developers? Mohammed, I am not sure about that. I'm not sure about that. I think developers from most of the countries can register on the Apple's developer network, and they, I believe, are treated the same. They have the same amount of restrictions and facilities available, and yeah, that should answer your question. Okay, so we have a question from Raja Sekhar Vasa. He asks, is there a market for apps based on process flows? For example, I want to demonstrate how to install and make a washing machine work through an interactive mobile app after bringing that to home. So yes, definitely I believe there would be a market for this, because this is quite a common task. People do this at least once, I believe, every 5 years maybe or so, but mostly people do that. So maybe other things that you can add to it are such as various agencies that can repair a washing machine, or more information on what sort of settings to use in a washing machine when on the types of clothes that you are going to put into that. So yeah, the market that you can target is based on the number of features and the helpfulness of those features that your app is going to offer. Hope that answers your question. There's a question from Chintan Kapasi. He asks, what is similar to Google Play for Windows 8 application? So, Chintan, can you please give more details on your question? Thanks. Okay, so are there any more questions or?
Those are, those are the only questions we had for the session, Nikhil. Thank you so much for answering them.
Okay, yeah, no problem.
I'm, I'm really thankful to you for conducting this webinar. It was a great session.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yep. Really,
Yeah,
am I still live or?
yeah, it's still on live. I would also
Okay,
like to thank all our participants for their support in making this webinar a success. I would like you to know that the recording of the session will be available on techgig.com by evening. Thank you all. Have a great day.